Okay, thank you. Appreciate everybody coming out. Fun weekend last weekend. Want to thank all the ladies that came out to our ladies clinic last weekend. Had close to 600 women that were here for that. Awesome being able to spend the afternoon with them. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy in that group. Was a lot of fun. We actually had to cut it off at 600 just so it didn't get too big and everything. But really fun day. Credit to Kim Fields and our program for organizing that and the great time that everyone had. Was preceded by our first scrimmage of the spring. Got a lot of work in, about 115 plays. I think we ran great work on offense and defense and special teams, as always in a scrimmage. Some, good by the offense, not so good by the offense, good by the defense, not so good by the defense. We have to continue to get better. Some positives offensively in 115 plays. Our offense only turned the ball over one time. That was an interception. The other side of that is defensively, we've been really good in the SEC at creating turnovers the last 2 years, and we've certainly got to create more than one every 115 plays as well. Offensively, have to be more explosive in the passing game. Did a lot of perimeter work and getting the ball out on the perimeter, bubbles and things like that. It's trying to evaluate guys. Can they block on the perimeter? Can they make people miss? But when we do drop back and throw it or take shots, we've got to be able to hit explosives. We were a different offense last season at the end of the season because we were more explosive. So we've got to continue to be more explosive, but credit the defense for preventing a lot of explosive passes on Saturday, defensively and along those lines. Have some guys out injury-wise on defense in the secondary right now. So we were really thin back there, and those guys had to play a lot of plays and did a good job. As we go, we got a lot of work to do. Some really good positives from Saturday, and love the way our older guys are working. We've got to continue to make sure our young guys understand the expectations of how we play around here, and not just part of the time, but every time you take the field, there's an expectation for what it's supposed to look like, and those are non-negotiable. So we've got to continue to instill that in our young guys and continue to get better. Critical week here coming up, and then critical week as we finish up next week with spring practice. Today was, again, like Steve said, practice number 10. Got some good situational work in, 2-minute drill at the end of practice as well. Good work, offense versus defense. We'll meet and lift tomorrow like we always do, and then Thursday we'll practice more situational work. Thursday is going to be a lot of what we call 4-minute into the game on offense, and we've got to finish out the game, get a first down, which we were crap at last year. Some games where we had a chance to put the game away and weren't able to. Clemson in the fourth quarter, where I think we punted 3 times. Texas A&M, where we had a first and goal up 9, I think, with about a minute and a half left in the game, and ended up giving the ball back to A&M on the 6-yard line with a minute to play, and then end up giving them the ball with a chance to score and win. So we've got to be better at offensively at putting games away. So we'll work on that Thursday. And that's also the defense getting the ball back, meaning when we're losing on defense, we've got to get the ball back for our offense as well. So good situational work on Thursday. We'll give the players and staff Easter weekend off. For all the golfers, that also means Masters weekend is off, so coaches and players can watch the Masters. It's on this weekend, so that'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everybody will get away and then come back in here next week for practice on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, which leads into the spring game on Saturday night. Going to be an amazing environment across the streets. First time we've been back in Williams-Brice Stadium since the Tennessee game last season. We know how awesome that was. So really, it's been too long, Gamecock Nation, and certainly looking forward to seeing all of you back in Williams-Brice Stadium next Saturday night. So hopefully we can create a great atmosphere, which I know we will, for our players who've worked really, really hard this offseason. And I know they're excited to perform in front of a crowd, as well as recruits that'll be here and former players. Big weekend next weekend. But a lot of work to do before then, but certainly excited about the spring game next week. Any questions y'all have? Go ahead. Missed you last week, David, but we're back in business.
Appreciate it. I got 2 for you, Shane. One, you mentioned the injuries to the defensive back, specifically Howard Dial and Nelson.
Dial and Nelson are going to be fine. Nothing long term, just hamstrings, groins, things like that. Nothing long term. Hopefully get them back here soon.
And also in the scrimmage, Jakai Joyner, where did he rep? Like one or two running backs? How did he look out there?
Yeah, he looked great. All those guys, Juju, Mario, and to carry on are all working with that top group. All three of those guys are kind of 1A, 1B, and 1C, so they all got in there and did some nice things. To carry on had some nice runs, and again, he's a guy that has shown what he can do at the running back position. He's shown what he can do at the quarterback position. He has shown and continues to show what he can do at the receiver position. So he's a valuable guy in a lot of ways.
Coach, who stood out younger guys wise? Sellers or some of the freshmen or transfers that stood out on Saturday?
Yeah, I think a lot of them flashed. They really did. We're not ready to anoint anybody through 9 practices of spring practice, and we haven't even gotten into preseason camp and summer conditioning. But excited about all those young guys. I think they all flashed and had their moments. Like I've said before, I don't think the moment is too big for any of them right now. They don't look lost out there, meaning they should still be getting ready for high school, and are in high school, and they don't stand out as they don't belong. They belong, and they all did some good things on Saturday, and all have a lot of work to do as well. But excited about this young group of guys.
Sticking with the scrimmage, or anything that kind of surprised you from that, or maybe you weren't expecting once you saw your team actually in something of a game setting?
No, not really. Thought it was first scrimmages are always interesting, especially in the spring because you got so many new faces. But thought operationally we were good as far as getting calls in and executing offense and defense. Not a lot of issues from that standpoint. Got a lot of work. Got a lot of work in. We were out there for a while, but no big surprises. It was a fun tape to go back and watch afterwards, and you see things to continue to build on, and you see things that we need to improve on. And then the other thing too is we wanted to get a lot of our younger guys that haven't played as much, get them a ton of work because we've got to make some evaluations on these guys as we go through spring practice, and Saturday was a really big day for a lot of those guys as well, either guys that really elevated their games and showed out, or guys that maybe had good preseason practices or spring practices but took a little bit of a step back in a scrimmage setting as well. So a lot to learn from on that tape.
Shane, often at this time of the year, the defense sometimes is ahead of the offense, right? But in terms of when you looked at this offense, I know you talked about you want to see more explosive, but some of the positives that came out of learning a new offense, communication, what were some of the things that you were pleased with when you went back and watched the tape? Yeah,
you're right. I've been a lot of places going against Bud Foster's defenses at Virginia Tech all those years. There were spring practices where you struggled to get a first down and whatnot, but made us better, and we're going against a really good defense. Our offense is out here at that practice, or our practices as well. So defenses are normally ahead, but I thought it was good. I thought we being able to communicate new verbiage, and coaches aren't out there telling guys what to do and get guys lined up and things like that, being able to get lined up. Now, again, we have way too many mental errors on offense, defense, and special teams. We got to get those cut down, but it wasn't just, oh, my God, we don't know what to do. Operationally, getting calls in, Dow making calls, Clayton making calls, getting it communicated. Thought that was good. I thought we at times had good blocking on the perimeter, did a good job running the ball at times, not so good at times. Same thing in the passing game, but overall was pleased. I didn't walk off the field, Mike, saying, wow, we're trying to learn a lot of new stuff on offense and we're so far behind, like we ain't got a chance. I did not feel that way. I didn't feel any differently as far as where we were than I did maybe last year in year 2 of a system, if that makes sense. I like where we are.
Kind of going back to the injury front, didn't see Jakai Moore out there today. I wonder if you could share an update on him.
Yeah, Jakai is going through a off the field issue, a tragedy in his family. So thoughts and prayers go out to him. A really tough thing that he's going through right now.
And 10 practices through, coming into that spring practice with a little bit limited running back room. How have you seen that room kind of develop through these 10 practices?
Yeah, I think we're getting everything out of them, and they continue to compete. They really working hard. Like I said, Juju, Mario, and Jakai doing a nice job working with that, top group. And then we've got some guys, some younger guys behind them as well that are all getting work, and they're all rotating through there and getting opportunities. Everybody played on Saturday, and guys continue to flash, and guys that, we need to help on special teams. They continue to show up on special teams as well. So it was certainly an area of concern going into spring practice, and I feel a lot better about, that group right now. Got a lot of work to do and still got to continue to develop depth and find guys, but all those guys are doing good things and continuing to work.
And you talked about new guys, new additions, these young kids. Do you see here a week and a half out from that spring game, maybe some excitement for them to get in front of the crowd for the first time? I know you've been eager, especially under the lights on Twitter. You've been showing some eagerness to get out there.
Yeah, I'm eager to get out there. It's always great to be in Williams-Brice Stadium with our fans, and what an environment and atmosphere that is. So I can't wait to get back out there. And I know our players will be excited. I'll be honest with you, we haven't talked about it at all. In regards to the team, it was all about, what we have to do today, and then worry about tomorrow. But, certainly our guys, a lot of those players that are here right now as true freshmen, they were at that spring game last year as recruits. And I know they know what that environment was like it was last season. I would hope it's going to be even more electric in there this year because of the excitement and energy. I tell recruits all the time that there's never been more excitement and energy about South Carolina football than right now, so don't make me a liar, Gamecock Nation, and not show that next Saturday night. But I think our players, certainly a lot of them, that'll be their first time playing in front of a crowd, and I know they'll be excited about getting out there.
First off, Payton Williams, was he out there today?
He was. He's another DB that's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. Nothing long term. He wasn't practicing today.
All right, and you're coming up on your last few actual practices before the spring game. Is there anything that you want to see to kind of close out the practice portion of the spring, whether it's just more polish from guys, or what's important for you to see as a head coach the last few practices?
Just how we continue to progress and get better. That's what I talked to the team about after practice. Like the human nature is, okay, we're 10 practices down. Next week's the last week of spring break. We got Easter weekend coming up. Human nature is to go, all right, we're good, and just kind of coast. And I talked to the team about this today. I went back and this week last year, we didn't do a great job academically. We didn't do a great job keeping the locker room clean, a lot of things like that, where maybe last year we took a breath and didn't get better. That's what I'm looking for, is how we continue to get better. Players, coaches, all of us, every single person in this building. There's no complacency, and there better not be any complacency after 10 practices with 1 week of spring practice left. We got a lot of work to do, and that's what I want to see, how we continue to progress and get better. And then also, some of these older guys, do they continue to take a step and improve, or do they get caught by some of these young guys? Y'all have been around here long enough, or been around me long enough to know that, there's no jobs that are given here right now. You earn and compete for everything. And if anybody's getting complacent and think they've got a job locked up, they're going to be shocked here, pretty quickly. And I want to see these young guys continue to come along and push these older guys. We need to go back to the old days when we practiced over there and you guys just stood outside the gate and just checked people off as they came through on the old proving grounds to know who's out there and stuff like that. Y'all are slacking, huh?
If you want to supply some lawn chairs and umbrellas, we'll be glad to. But Shane, you got a luxury with all three of your starting specialists back, kicker, punter, and holder. Who's working at the backup roles? Not maybe so for this year, but kind of prepping for the future.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's a lot of guys that we've got to continue to to think about. Part of that is recruiting, trying to get guys in here from a specialist position, snappers, punters, kickers. We're always actively recruiting those guys, whether there's somebody we're going to give a scholarship to or somebody that we are trying to recruit actively as a walk-on. So we've had some of those guys on campus here over the last month or so, and that goes back to last summer when we had guys here for our summer camps and things like that. So that's always a work in progress, thinking a year or two in advance. So some of that is recruiting, and that's the great thing about all of the specialists, is because Coach Limbo doesn't coach another position during those periods where you guys are watching the linebackers work, the DBs work, all in individual. How come nobody ever goes inside with the specialists? They're all inside in the indoor, working on different things as well. So they get a lot of time together to work that stuff. So in regards to backup holders and kickers and snappers, it's really the same cast of characters that we had last year as well. And then certainly we've got to develop more depth with that, whether it be from recruiting or guys on our own team. Nate Adkins was a guy that could long snap for us last year. It'll help him in the NFL because he's a pretty good snapper. We need to find those guys on our roster that we can only travel 70 to away games in the SEC. We need to find those other guys on our roster that can hold, can snap, to get us out of a game in case of an emergency.
Shane, I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day, Hugh Freeze was asked a question about spring and being able to maybe go up against other teams. And I know that's something that has been floated around over the last couple of years. Just your overall thoughts, and would you like the opportunity to play at some type of team?
It's beyond the last couple of years. David knows I was on this soapbox back in 2008 or 9. There's an old interview that y'all could probably dig up on the local TV stations where I stood right out there in the end zone of the old practice fields, and I said exactly what Hugh Freeze said yesterday. I said it'd be great to play a spring game or a preseason game against another team, and you could give the money to charity or something. So all of our local TV stations here in Columbia, if you can dig that up, it was from preseason camp back in August it was a night practice, I remember that, but over there on the proving grounds. But yes, absolutely. Love the spring games the way we have it, but as you guys have heard me say before, we are the only sport that doesn't get in August before the season an exhibition or a scrimmage or a preseason game like the NFL teams do. We're the only one, so we practice in August for however it is, 29 days or whatever the number of practices are, and then we go play for real. So if we can't do it in August, great. Let's do something in the springtime where we can compete against another team, and you'll get great crowds for it, and be able to give the money back, to other people as well. So I've been, saying it for 15 years now, but haven't made a lot of progress on that.
From one important question to another, you seem excited for the Masters. You gotta pick, go Muscati or someone else?
I got to dig into it here a little bit. I'm eager to watch. I need the weather to clear up. It looks like the weather is not going to be very good right now, but certainly, my son's getting into it, and he's been talking about his guys and all that. So I'm not quite ready to make my pick yet, but I watch a lot of. Don't get to play as much as I like, but watch a lot of it on the weekends, and the TV in my office is either on SEC Network or the Golf Channel most days in there as well. So I'm eager to watch.
Your edge position, kind of, these guys hurt. We know Tonka's out. Who's kind of working there now? Who did in the scrimmage? Kind of how many guys do you have going in and out of edge right now? Yeah,
it's a lot by committee right now. We've got flexibility. You guys know that Tonka Hemingway's hurt right now, but Tonka in the bowl game played that edge position. Tonka's a guy that can play inside and outside. We got some other guys like that on our defense. We'll see, how that goes. And then we like that edge group. Brian Thomas is a young guy. Donovan Westmoreland's working there, like we've talked about. Tyreek Johnson's really doing some, good things. Terrell Dawkins is out there. I know I'm forgetting people, but basically anybody that's listed as a defensive end on our website is working at edge right now, and they're all getting work with the first group and continuing to compete and get better. And like all positions, defensively we want to be multiple enough where we can get our 11 best guys out there. And we use multiple personnel groupings on our defense in order to get the best 11 out there. So whatever that may be, that's what we're going to do. And I've been pleased with that group. Sterling Lucas is doing a really good job developing them, and Desmond, true freshman, is really flashing and getting better as well. So we've got to keep working and keep getting better.
Coach, what about linebacker? Pup and obviously Stone, who stood out at scrimmage, and what have you seen from that group?
Yeah, same. I think all of them flashed at times. That's a group that's got more depth than what it did last year. Mo Caba's not practicing right now, but Stone and Debo Williams are doing a good job. Pup's doing a nice job. Jaron Willis, on and on and on. You know, our young walk-ons, Andrew Colasurdo, Ronnie Porter, they're flashing and have done some nice things on special teams. So, you know, I think Debo and Stone, they really work at it. They're doing a good job of, you know, making calls and getting guys lined up, and they made some nice physical plays on Saturday. And then, you know, Pup, you always notice Pup around the ball, and you always notice Desmond at defensive end around the ball. So I like those young guys, you know, how fast they play, and again, that's a position that we've got some depth at, and some unique skill sets. Bam Scott, you know, he's a guy that can do a lot of things. So it's a group that's really working and getting better. No, all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good week.